and just not be able to fix themselves. It's baffling, Melissa. Baffling. I was commenting as we were kind of doing this. I was like, Melissa, you must sit there lost like half of the time as I'm just sitting there like, why is this over here?
It's just a lot of noises and muttering and like technical jargon. I don't know. I don't mind it though. It's like white noise. It calms me down.
Yeah.
I wish I could just have like a 3-hour loop of Kyle muttering techno babble to like help me sleep.
ASMR techno babble brought to you by Kyle. I don't know, like it's the idea is that this podcast is supposed to kind of start with kind of a cold open that is supposed to sound like it's in the middle of a conversation. Like we
ideally
open it up and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that was a good one. Hey everyone, welcome, blah, 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 blah. And most of the time it's just me like, well, I think it worked.
Yeah.
So here we are, I think. I think it worked. This is episode 88 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson. Yes. Melissa, how are you?
Not great.
Yeah? How was this week been? It's been a wild and crazy week in the world.
I didn't leave my doorstep for 5 days.
Nice.
And I left today to go donate blood because I needed to do something, but now I've used it up. I don't get to do another good deed for another 2 months because they don't let you donate blood that often.
Your deed has been done.
Yeah.
You'll have to figure out something else to go do next week.
I can't go anywhere.
Yeah. To kind of help date this podcast, this is right in the middle of all the coronavirus stuff, which I guess maybe I shouldn't date some of these podcasts, but if you're wondering, like, what the hell are they talking about? This is when we're recording that, like, in the middle of our quarantine.
I don't think this is going to be like a blip, I don't think somebody 5 years from now is going to go back to this and be like, I don't know, what was the context? I don't remember what was happening in spring 2020.
I mean,
like,
hey,
I've marked.
I've listened to
now, I think
old episodes of the Rooster Teeth podcast. And it's always helpful to know. I mean, they date themselves using things. Oh, so this video game just came out. This TV show Lost just ended. Like, what are we gonna do with our lives now? And I was just like, oh man, good times. I remember those days. But then, if someone 10 years down the road goes back to listen to this and they just hear us like, why hasn't Melissa gone out of her house? They haven't even said a reason. Just like, what is happening? Are these people weirdos?
You think if somebody's just auto-playing the show and they're not looking at the date and time stamp on it?
I don't typically look at date and time stamps. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, crazy week this week. So you guys, as you mentioned last week on the show, your workspace was going to be testing working from home on Tuesday and then just hoping it worked and then continuing that. How did that go?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. There are some people who have company laptops that can access our like in-office servers, and they just keep sending out the message like, hey guys, like there's like a VPN they all share. I don't have one of these laptops yet, so I don't get it. But they're like, don't stay on there too long. Like pull the file you need and then get out. We have a chat program that's like attached to the server, and now they're like use different chat program. So we all have to learn Microsoft Teams now. Oh. So yeah, I've just been working from home all week, which is, I'm very, very lucky to be able to do this. There's, my actual tasks are very minimally impacted. but I've really taken for granted how much an office is designed to be an office. And a bedroom is designed to be a bedroom. They're not the same. Like
I know how you feel.
My screen isn't big enough. Like I've got a 24-inch TV screen that I hook my laptop up to when I need to work from home. But it's several inches smaller than my desktop at work, which I really miss. Like we do a lot of things that need that screen real estate. And it's a TV. Like I don't think it's designed for you to look at it that closely for that long.
Probably
and this
not.
chair I'm on is like, this isn't a great chair. Like it's fine. I don't notice anything about it except for when I do have to sit here for 8 hours at a time. And then also like the height ratio between the chair and the desk is off. So at the end of the day, my arms are always sore because there's like more gravity on them because the desk is too high and I can't make my chair any higher.
I mean, you could like
I wind up at the end of the day with like
get phone books or stuff, or like stack up your Artemis Fowl books and put your chair up on top of that.
It's a wheelie chair though. I just fall off. Like at the end of the day, I just find myself with like real physical fatigue that I was not predicting.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm also working from home. I started this week as well. But we started on Monday, and I recently learned that I'm going to be working from home all through April. It is mandatory to do all through April, so I'm going to be here in this podcast room studio thing, doing my work, which is fine for me because I'm kind of a recluse. I'm kind of a shut-in anyways, so I don't mind it. I don't get much sunlight, says Pasty McPale white guy. But yeah, it's still weird though. Like I like it. I enjoy it because I don't really need to be around people for my job, and I don't really talk to anyone for my job. They just assign me stuff, and I send it back once it's done. It's like, all right, here you go. But it's weird to get used to. I'm just like, this is pretty much mandatory. Like there's not an option here, so it's weird to have that taken away. How have you been coping? This has been like the topic of every single podcast I've listened to from the past week. Of just like, what are you guys doing? How are you making this work? So what are you spending your time with?
I just spent my time on it, and I'm done now, I guess. I finished off all of Venture Brothers, which we are doing for the review show podcast. I'm done 2 weeks ahead of when we need to record that.
Yeah.
But also, like, my soul needed it. My heart needed it. That's one of my legit favorite TV shows. I'd been meaning to rewatch the whole thing, so I watched season 7 for the first time. So I watched all of that in 2 days. I watched like 6 or 7 episodes yesterday, which I don't do. This is not my habit. I am not a binger.
Melissa is not a binge
parse
watcher.
Things out like little bits at a time, you know, like the Halloween candy you make last until like the December 28th. Like that's what I do.
There's me who just like stuffs his face with it all.
Yeah, I can't do it. Oh, but I did it yesterday. I'm like, you need a treat. And also, like, what are you waiting for? Like, life is short. Like, just watch all of it now.
Yeah.
So thank goodness I have that. And then I have the DVD commentaries for season 6 left that I haven't finished. I'm going to order season 7 DVDs. Who knows when they ever may get to me? Could be months. Who knows? But then I'll have those DVD commentaries, and I'm also going to order the art book. So I've got a little bit more venture energy to try and sustain me.
Good. So I'm assuming season 7 gets the thumbs up from Melissa by how you're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
There's really good stuff in season 7.
I won't ask you too much more besides that, because I know we'll be talking about that in a couple weeks on the review show. But yeah, good. I'm glad that worked out then, and you liked it so much. I don't think I've gotten art books for stuff before. I'm just like, I really like this thing. I'm gonna go get the art book. I've had opportunities.
I have the art book for The Incredibles, and I briefly had the art book for Rise of the Guardians, which is a very, very pretty movie that we covered on the review show last Christmas 2018. So I got to pull out that art book to reference for that episode, which was nice. But yeah, I got to get me this one. I got to see behind the scenes, because this show is so specifically detailed with like all of its sets and costumes, to where I've heard like the creators say, like, we wish we could designate fabrics. Like, you need to know what's made out of polyester and what isn't.
It's neat. It's neat when the creators can be that detailed and that obsessive.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, this is all of the stuff that we know and we want to do with this show. I am still messing with cameras on my end, and things are just.
And I gotta tell you,
funky.
you've dropped into potato quality levels for several minutes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a symptom of our podcast for a little while, because everyone is at home using the internet all at the same time. So hopefully we can make it through. If it gets real bad, I might just be like, hey, let's do audio podcasts for the next couple weeks and stuff like that. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know if there's things that I've gotten that into where I want that kind of memorabilia about. Like,
I'm not a. Well, I guess I have been a merchandise person, considering that I own 3 T-shirts, a couple action figures.
There you go.
This is one of the rare fandoms where it's like, I want the stuff for this one.
Yeah, like certain things I do, and I say that as I have like all of my action figures behind me, my Street Sharks action figures, my Power Rangers action figures. But no, like I got most of all of that stuff when I was a kid, except for the comic books that you still see behind me. But all of those I read and then put on the shelf and stuff like that. But it's like I got to a point in college when I was actually taking a year off of college and living out in Texas, where I was like, hey, I actually have some like expendable income now. This is nice. And so I was like, I'm going to start buying up like my favorite TV shows and stuff like that. I'm going to get my favorite movies. I'm going to get X. I'm going to get Y. I'm going to get Z. And I started doing that, and I started a collection, and that on top of all of the comics that I buy and the video games that I play, it's just like everything is taking up so much space, and I don't have space anymore. So I was like, all right, I need to like get everything digitally or just like be fine with streaming it. It's like, all right, so no art books for me yet. There might be something one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Like I feel like my time in quarantine has kind of been like a vacation, in the sense that I'm basically in this chair on my computer all day watching YouTube videos as I work or listening to podcasts, and then when I'm done, I move into my bed, which is on the opposite side of that wall in that room, and I just watch TV and play video games, and that's all I've been doing. But that's also what I do anyways. So it's just like I don't know. Like it's hard for me. It's hard for me to relate, because I know that this is something that I think affects a lot of people, of just like this is a really lonely lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
it can affect people in very strange ways. But I'm totally fine just being by myself and doing my own thing. So
That's
I don't know.
good. You're lucky. I'm an extrovert. Like, I need to be up and moving around and going places. Like, for me, I'm real upset if I just have a weekend with nothing planned, where I don't do anything more exciting than like go to my parents' house and do laundry. And it's like, well, now I can't even do that.
And me,
I
I'm just
can
like,
do
yes,
nothing. I can do
nothing
none
for the
things.
entire weekend. I can
No,
sit here
I
and stare
hate
at my
nothing.
ceiling.
I can't stand nothing. Like, I need to be productive. I need to be social. I need to be active. I need to explore and go out there and look at things. Oh, I feel really drained. And I have stories I can
interesting.
throw myself into. Like shows I can watch and
Right.
books I can read. But I worry that, like, oh, that'll be really good for 3 weeks. And what if you're stuck here for 7 weeks? Then what are you going to do?
Yeah. Weird. It's I don't know, like I feel like, kind of like you mentioned, this is a marked date. Like, this is something that we will look back on and we will know where we are. I mean, we will be in the house, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we will. This is a time that will stick with us for a long time. Of just like, the world is crazy right now. What is happening? All of these movies are being delayed. All of these things are coming to streaming much faster. Like, the world is changing very fast right now.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly how yet. Like, it's still happening. We don't know what the end result will be yet.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to see and think about in that way. Because I think back, the last moment for that for me was 9/11. Of just like, I knew exactly where I was. I was young enough. I didn't fully understand it at the time, but I remembered that day. But I don't have something else that has stood out to me as being that big.
And it's so different because with that, it's, you may be scared to go out. Many places were closed. You wouldn't want to travel long distances, but like, you could put the family in the car and like go to a family member's house, and you could all sit down and like be together, hug each other. And now
Safety
it's like,
in numbers, yeah.
Right. Now it's like, everybody please be in a box alone. Do not touch people. You can leave your house to go to the grocery store only.
Wild.
And then who knows about that even.
Yeah. I've started using Amazon Fresh, which is their grocery delivery service. And even that has been sold out. Like, you cannot get stuff on there. And I think starting this past week on the 16th, they were like, okay, we are prioritizing like essentials, like food and cleaning supplies and medical stuff and just like household things that you will need for your household. So stuff like you said, like you bought season 7 of the DVDs, but who knows when those will get here?
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of crazy to think about, because a handful of years ago, that's just how the world was anyways. You bought something online, it'd probably show up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now we're used to, like, we buy something. I buy my groceries on Amazon Fresh now, and they are supposed to show up within 2 hours.
Yeah.
But because of all this stuff, it's like, hey, we can deliver it tomorrow. at some time. I'm like, yeah, that's still super fast. That's still super fine. Like, that's A-okay. But yeah, it's just like we're so used to getting something and then it being like, all right, it'll be here this afternoon. That's it. So crazy times. But I kind of like having my groceries delivered, though. It's kind of nice.
I don't. I do not like having things delivered to me. I need to go out there and do it myself. Last
We're
night
so
I ordered.
opposite. It's great.
I ordered dinner for the first time in, I think, 2 years. I ordered a food to be sent to my house. I don't do it, but I thought,
what did you get?
Bread Co. just Panera bread, as you call it in other parts of the country.
Did you do that through like Grubhub or something, or did they have?
No, they've got
like a local.
They have their own delivery service.
Okay. Gotcha. I don't know if they do here, but I'm sure they do through something like Grubhub or Uber Eats or Postmates or something. Yeah.
Wow, they've got it around here. I know it wasn't all across the nation. I don't know why you wouldn't have it.
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's 2 years. Wow. Okay. You are a go-getter.
No, why am I paying this extra money when I could just go out in my car? Like, me going out in my car is always worth $5.
Yeah. I can go both ways on that one because as much as I like having things delivered to me, and it's just like I don't have to worry about it and think about it, and I'm like that $5 extra or who knows is like I can pay for that convenience, or I can spend the time like walking to the store or driving to the store or X, Y, and Z, and I can get things maybe a little bit cheaper, you know?
Yeah.
So in general, yeah, I like having things delivered to me. This is the first time that I got my groceries delivered to me. It's worked out fine. I like it. I don't know if I'm going to continue because, yeah, things are a little bit more expensive and you have to buy it in bulk and stuff like that. So it's going to suck when it's like, all I need is some mustard. And I don't want to spend like $40 to like buy one thing of mustard, right? You know? And get extra stuff. So hopefully once things go back to normal, I'll be doing my normal routine of after work, just walk to the grocery store, then take the bus home.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see. We shall see. I've been lost in ancient Greece. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And it takes place in ancient Greece.
I figured you were doing either that or the Microsoft Encarta Encyclopedia Program virtual walkthrough of the Parthenon.
Well, so that game is neat because it has this like educational mode where they have recreated these cities and these buildings and these statues of what they supposedly looked like back then, and so you can kind of go run around these buildings, but they have this like
it's
educational
like Microsoft
tour
Encarta,
mode.
but you can also murder people.
Basically, yeah. No, but they do actually have like an educational mode where they will give you a guided tour and explain the history and stuff like that. They did that for this game and the one before it, which was Assassin's Creed Origins, which took place in ancient Egypt.
Okay.
So you got to like visit the pyramids and crawl all up and down those and see a bunch of statues and stuff like that. So it was good. It's interesting. That's been my like get out and do something. It's like I just get so lost and immersed in this huge map, and I can go see Athens. I can go talk to Socrates. I can
Yeah.
go talk to
So
someone in
Socrates.
Sparta.
I know him.
Yeah, Socrates. I've heard of him. One thing that's been strange is they pronounce everything differently than I've been taught.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I'm sure, just us being ignorant Americans. But they, instead of saying Aphrodite, they say Aphrodite. Aphrodite. And what I mean, it's just like, it's neat to hear all of the accents and like, oh, so that's how you actually say that. Huh. It's not what they taught me, but okay. Sounds good. That sounds more correct.
It was an adjustment when I got to college and was taking literature classes and we're studying the works of Homer at all. And my professor's like, it isn't Hercules, it is Heracles.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you all the right way.
Heracles. That's also one I noticed in, I think in DC versus Marvel, because all of the like ancient Greek gods are kind of public domain characters, right? It's not like they can pick all that stuff. So Marvel Comics has Hercules, but DC Comics I think calls him Heracles. And that's their like, see, it's not the same character. His name is different.
We have Shazam and you have Shazam.
Too. Right, yeah. Shazam and Shazam. Yeah, so that's been fun. But I beat that game today. I have very mixed feelings about that game. But I'll be talking to Ignacio about that one, some in-depth thoughts on that game. But yeah, it's been fun though.
That sounds good. This might be the time when I pick up a video game for the first time ever.
There you go.
But
you guys
I don't
have
know.
something
Like,
at your house?
no, we have nothing.
Okay.
I had a Nintendo DS once.
There you go. That still works.
No, I lent it to my old roommate because she wanted to play something. Like, she dug out some old Nintendo game, and I'm like, well, I've got a Nintendo DS that I only use for Professor Layton puzzles every once in a while, so I don't have that. I might pick up, like, a walking simulator on Steam if I get really restless, but I don't know, because playing a video game doesn't hit that same checkbox in my brain as, like, watching a movie or a TV show or reading a book does. Like, it doesn't check off, I have accomplished something.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that. Each medium is very different in the way it tells stories and stuff like that. And I mean, I like them all because that's part of the way that I communicate. It's like I like stories. I want to know what kind of stories people like. Just like, what books do you read? What movies? What TV shows? What games? Tell me. I want to know. Because I think what people end up liking and what they read and what they connect to says a lot about them.
Yes.
And all that stuff. So I find that stuff fascinating.
I think this is going to be my time to go back and revisit a lot of old favorite things. Like, I need comfort food. Like, this is what Venture Brothers has given me. I'm finally going to watch that 10th Kingdom thing I've pitched to you twice because I know you're never going to pick it.
Was that one of the romance ones?
Yeah, I've pitched it the last two Valentine's Days. It is a TV miniseries from the year 2000 about a woman from New York who gets sucked into a fairy tale kingdom where every fairy tale is real and alive, and there's lots of political intrigue among all the princesses, and she has to like find a magic mirror and find her way out, and she's got the the human personification of the big bad wolf who has like fallen in love with her and is trying to figure out how to woo a real woman, not a woman who works by fairy tale rules.
I'm a real woman.
It's like 8 hours long, so that's
not bad.
Yeah, so like when I sit down like I'll sit down and watch a movie again, but this is so long. Like I haven't sat down and watched it in a while because it's never like, if I have less time than that, I'm watching a movie. If I have more time than that, it's like, let me pick out a longer show to watch. I never have 8 hours of time that I'm looking to fill. It's just a weird length. So I haven't come back to this thing in a while. Okay. But I think it is my ultimate, like, just silly, indulgent comfort food.
That works. Is there anything else you're planning on watching down the road or getting back into?
Yeah, it's time I got back on my rewatch of Lost, which kind of stagnated around the holidays, you know, just getting busy with that. And we've just been doing more stuff for the review show this year, watching more series. So I just haven't had the time to go back and pick that one up. But I just think on Desmond and how we're all pretty much Desmond now.
Yeah. You can go down. I guess that one's Juliet.
That's Juliet's
they did
songs.
that one, yeah. Oh, well.
Desmond is make your own kind of music.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good one. I started rewatching Peaky Blinders on Netflix. I had only seen the first 2 seasons. I'm about to finish up season 2 today. And then venture into season 3, 4, and 5, which I have not seen yet. Which will be good, but besides that, I don't really know. I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time. Be like, okay, I beat that game. On to the next one. What's the next TV show? Who knows?
Yeah, I think I was talking with a friend of mine. So I love the X-Files. I've seen all of X-Files. Well, not like the most recent reboot series they've done. I watched the first season of that. I haven't gotten to the second season yet. But at the time, I'd seen like all of X-Files. And he had seen all of Buffy. But each of us had only seen a handful of the other series episodes.
Gotcha. So you guys are kind of switch?
Right. No, but we were having a conversation about it. And how I was saying that I've seen some Buffy and I have liked what I've seen. And it's sort of a known quantity for me. Like, I know that if I went further into the series, I would enjoy it. I would have a great time if I watched all of Buffy. So that's why I've kind of put it off. I'm saving it for a time in my life where I need something certain, where I need something I can rely on. And it's like, I'm going to watch Buffy. Like, I'm saving Buffy. And he made the comparison. It's like, oh, yeah, you save things for a rainy day. Like, that's something you're saving for a rainy year. And he's like, that's what I'm doing with X-Files. I know I'm going to love all of X-Files.
Well, Melissa,
so
welcome to 2020.
Exactly. So I don't think I'm going to start with Buffy, but a deep dive into Star Trek is something I've been meaning to do for a while, because that's something I've seen lots of assorted bits of. Like, I know what it is, but I've never sat down and watched Star Trek. Okay. I don't think I've seen more than 2 episodes of the original series. As an adult, I've seen only a couple of The Next Generation. It was just on so much as a kid, I just sort of absorbed muddled facts about it, and I would like to consciously watch the whole thing. And Star Trek seems very comforting. Like, it's so hopeful. Like, it's a utopian show, more or less, despite its problems. It's optimistic. You know, it's about all these people like coming together. They're in a spaceship which feels enclosed enough that I can empathize with it, but also they go out enough of the time that it won't make me
what is this strange new planet
hollow and lonely. Yes.
Yeah. And here I am in a red shirt. So I will go out first and die first.
Oh, well, unless we're talking TNG, in which case you're command level now.
Oh, well, hey, there you go. Live long and prosper, my friends.
Yes.
There you go. I don't know yet what I'm going to dive into after that. But you have something down here. You wanted to talk about shows, like what are the most important media, I will say, in your life, the stories that you will go back to.
Right, because I've got a list of like certain movies and shows and books. Like there's Oh, like there's something like Star Wars where I've seen all of it. I know things about it. When something new comes out about it, I'm excited and I talk to other people about it. But that's not in there for me. It's
Speaking
just something.
of Star Wars, they just cast Ahsoka Tano in Mandalorian season 2, and I am so excited. It's going to be great.
I'm excited for this. I know very little about Ahsoka Tano.
She's my favorite character.
But I know she's a lot of people's favorites, and I like everything I've heard, and I love Rosario Dawson.
Yep.
So I'm very excited to see her get to do this
great
whenever
casting.
it shall happen. Yeah.
Great casting. Whenever it will happen, because I don't know if I guess since they're still casting, it hasn't happened yet, but that was supposed to be coming out this next fall, but who knows how long those things will take now. I don't know, because things keep getting pushed back and postponed. But yeah, so what are the most important things, the most important stories to you that you can always go back to?
Well, I just watched all of Venture Brothers. That one's definitely up there for me. I'm going to watch Lost again. Right. Yeah. I'm going to go through some of the MCU. Because as much as I love the MCU, there's some movies I've only seen like once or twice.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Whereas there's I've seen Avengers a dozen times. But I think I've seen Doctor Strange 1.5 times, even though I also love him. I kind of want to
seen it a total of 2 times.
Yeah, like I want to go equal the playing field with that.
Yeah. I saw it once in the theater and then once with my parents, being like, okay, this is the next film.
Yeah. It is the next one. Yes, here we go. And I realized lately, I feel like I love the MCU so much. I'm a pretty big nerd for this, but also there's details I feel like I should know and I don't. I've been trying to remember, I know Martin Freeman from Civil War and Black Panther. I don't remember his character's name, but that's Martin Freeman in those movies. I should at least get, everybody's name down.
Yeah.
Things like that.
What else?
I'm going to go back and read some favorite books. I'm, halfway through Artemis Fowl right now, and then I'm going to finish this, silly, cheesy vampire romance novel I started a little bit ago and will read a couple chapters of every once in a while that I kind of fell off of when I decided to really reread all the Artemis Fowl books, because I'm I don't want to do these at the same time. I don't want to read a young adult book and a softcore romantic novel at the same time. I need to separate these.
That's a good one.
I might go back, reread some of my favorite old fantasy series. There's been one book that's been one of my faves since I was 13 years old. Nobody's ever heard of the dang thing. I would reread every one of them again as the series came out. And so it got to the point where it's
what's this one?
I know this is called the Nightrunner series. Again, nobody's heard of it. I don't think I've ever run into anybody in the wild who's heard of this thing.
Is night spelled regular?
Yeah. Not it's a fantasy story, but it is not spelled like a medieval knight. So what this is about, it's these fantasy books, high fantasy, and it's about this young man he grew up just him and his dad has recently died. And so he's a teenager. He lives up in the wilds of the north. He's no job, no home, and he's just sort of still wandering around foraging for food to feed himself. He doesn't know how to live the rest of his life now that his dad has died.
Mm-hmm.
And he accidentally hunts on a nobleman's lands. He didn't realize he wandered into them. So this nobleman catches him poaching his deer, he thinks, and then he throws the kid in a dungeon. And this other prisoner in the dungeon,
like one does.
Right. Yeah, if you're a medieval nobleman, of course you have a dungeon to throw poachers into. So he throws the kid in the dungeon, and then there's another prisoner already there. And the other prisoner seems all weak and woeful, but then secretly he's okay, I think I know how to get out of here. Do you want to get out of here with me? And the kid's okay.
Okay.
So they escape, and then the guy's like, that name I told you, that's not my real name. Really, I'm this guy.
Really, I'm Martin Freeman. Don't remember my other name.
And he's like, I live in the capital city. I am a nobleman of some accord there, and I live this roguish lifestyle out here on the borderlands. Do you want to come back to the capital city with me? I can teach you my trade. I can teach you how to be a bard and a rogue and to pickpocket things. He's like this noble gentleman thief. And this younger man's like, all right, yeah, I have no future, so sure, I'll go back to the capital city with you. And it's just about these two guys traveling, like learning to do rogue stuff. Turns out the one guy is a sanctioned spy for the queen. He's like in the queen's secret guard that she sends out for like all of the clandestine missions that she can't trust like the regular knights with. And
if you get caught, we will disavow you. We know nothing of your existence.
Right. It's just spy and rogue nonsense and like a really, really good romance and like really charming side characters. And it's been my favorite forever. Since I was 13. That's pretty much as long as forever is.
I looked up the book covers, and yeah, they look like typical fantasy book you would find at like Barnes and Noble or at the airport or something. Like, hey, here's a fantasy book. Have fun.
Here's wizard. Here's guy with sword.
Yeah. Here's
dark
those. Dungeon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I want to reread those because I remember I liked the last couple of books, but because they came out later, I've only read them like once or twice.
How many are there?
So there are 8 of them. Right?
Okay. There you go. I just yawned.
No.
Really big.
No, there's 7 of them.
7. Okay. That works. I think for me, usually books don't do it for me. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have any book series that I'm just like, oh man, this is something that like helped define me or like the way that I think. I mean, I liked Harry Potter. I liked Artemis Fowl. When I read Artemis Fowl, I knew literally no one else that read the book. So then when you came along, I was like, I read them too. I remember those books. That was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first major one that stands out to me is Lost. That was the one that I got like obsessive with, and I was just like, I need to know what's happening, and I love that show, as we have discussed many times on the podcast. But that's one. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex is a show that I go back to a lot. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is another favorite of mine that I go back to a lot. It just like that is the one that I think if someone doesn't really know much about anime or just doesn't understand it, like what's all this there anime about? Huh? I'm just like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Here's why people like it, because it has everything. It has action, adventure, mystery, romance. It has great characters, a great story, a fantastic world, and it's just like you can't not like it. It's so good. But it's also it has a little bit of the like anime bullshit enough to like introduce them to the concepts of like when they're talking about something and they're like, and it's real scary, and they get all like cartoony and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like it introduces those concepts, but it doesn't overuse them, and it uses them effectively. And I'm just like, this is like, there are shows out there that people will be like, oh, this is one of the best anime out there right now, and I watch it and it's just that stuff nonstop, and I'm like, this is garbage. Like, this is really bad. I don't know why people like this thing. But yeah, they just have all sorts of stuff, and they use it effectively when they need to, which is good. So I like that one. Kids on the Slope is another anime favorite of mine.
How many times have you watched that? Because I think you'd seen it a couple times before you made me watch it.
I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And it's a short one. It's it's I think like 13 episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If not, it was 26, but that was all. But yeah, that's a really great one. Let's see, other good TV shows or movies and stuff. Yeah, the MCU. Star Wars Clone Wars, like that cartoon specifically, is just like comfort food. I can put it on. I also have to do, I guess, just going back. I have a lot of anime in my stuff of just like, these are the ones that I can go back to and just rewatch. I'm a big fan of Gundam. So all of the stuff in the Universal Century timeline is amazing. I can watch that stuff endlessly. I think also Legend of Galactic Heroes, which is maybe a lesser known one. I love the original. I know they're remaking it right now, which I haven't checked in on that one to see if it's good yet or not. But that was a show that I saw on a website a couple years ago that was just like, here's 20 underrated anime that you've probably never heard of. And I just started going down that list and watching them all. And I ended up watching Legend of Galactic Heroes, and I fucking loved it. I was like, this is amazing. And I pitched it to Paul on the review show for a crunchy peanut butter episode. Literally right when I finished it, I was like, this needs to be the next one. He's like, all right, I guess we're doing that. So I watched it like back to back. And it's so good. But it's also kind of the same like outer space galactic politics and warfare, and there's a big chess game and all, it's that type. It's this, I have a thing for like intergalactic politics where they have like, I guess like Victorian military style outfits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I love that stuff. I'm just like, this is great. it's so dumb, but I love it.
Yeah.
So that one is one that I can go back to. But I think that and Ghost in the Shell standalone complex are very difficult to get into. Like, it's not something that I recommend to a lot of people. I think people know the Ghost in the Shell anime. They know the movies, the animated movie, because that one's a classic and that one's fantastic. But once you start getting into the show and like the deeper complexities of what is happening in there, that I still don't I still don't understand that show or what is happening in it, but I love it. Just like, this is so good. But it's hard to introduce to someone else and just be like, hey, this is something I love. If you want to understand me, watch this. And they'll be like, I don't understand this thing. I'll be like, great, neither do I. Steins Gate is another
you've talked
anime
about
favorite
Steins
of mine.
Gate, yes.
It's a time travel show that I really love. I rewatched the original Steins Gate recently, and currently I'm also kind of slowly rewatching Steins Gate Zero, which is the sequel to that show. However, something I did not know at first, and that one day I will have to go and check out, is that it's based off of a video game.
Oh.
It's based off some kind of visual novel, if I'm not mistaken. So one day I'm sure I will go back and play those, but never have. So there you go. But I think that about wraps us up. The Wire is a good one, but I've only seen it through once. But that is a show that I'm just like, oh, that's so good. Yes, we need to go back and watch that show.
I feel like I couldn't do The Wire. There's a lot of big prestige dramas that I know have prestige for a reason. I know they're very impressive. They're very well done. They're very enthralling. But they just sound like they would be too bleak for me to handle. Like, I'd be sitting there like, this is good, but I'm not having fun.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a fun show.
Like, I've never watched The Wire, or I saw the first episode of Breaking Bad. I've never seen The Sopranos. I got through season 1 of Game of Thrones because I love fantasy so much, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I don't put it past someone to be like, yeah, that's just not my type of show. Especially something like The Wire or Legend of Galactic Heroes. Like, that stuff is not only very complicated and like won't hold your hand and just be like, okay, we're gonna use all this technical jargon and political jargon and nonsense like that, and it's hard to get into, and it's like a niche in its own genre. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's lots of things I love that, like, I know aren't for other people. Like, I've mentioned ad nauseum how much I love the Venture Brothers, which I know is, like, a weird Adult Swim cartoon that is going to be too crass or too confusing for most people I mention it to.
I don't even think it's that crass. Or, like compared to like the like fake hospital shows that they have on Adult Swim, or like Squid Bellies, stuff like that. Like, that style of Adult Swim cartoon is like what I think of as crass and just this is just dumb for dumb's sake. Like, and this actually has a plot. It's well thought out. It's a spoof, and it then like evolves that, and like there is a lot of thought behind that show. Not to say that some of these other shows don't have it, but just Squidbillies? Come on.
Okay.
That's the one that I can remember.
Last night, after I finished all of Venture Brothers, I'm like, I'm caught up. I don't have to worry about spoilers or anything. I did what I do with all fandoms, which is I go to YouTube and I type in name of thing as vines.
Okay.
And I found like two videos, both of which were under 2 minutes each, which is still a decent amount of vines. Vines are 6 seconds long. But still, it's like I went on this journey and I got like less than 5 minutes out of content out of it. But oh well. Some of them were still pretty good. And at one of the channels putting the... Oh, wait, no, they were both from the same channel. I realized this after I watched them. The channel was just named Fandom Time. I'm like, I gotta see what else you're putting up here. So I go to the channel, and it's one of those rare, beautiful, like, multi-fandom channels that's got a fan vid or, like, a Vine compilation or a meme compilation for, like, a little bit of everything.
Based off of everything, yeah.
So this channel had, like, it had some Venture Brothers on there. It had, like, a lot of... Five Nights at Freddy's, some animes I didn't recognize. I think a Riverdale maybe, a Good Omens. Good Omens is in there too, of course. I got deep enough into it and I found a Squidbillies video. Like,
yes.
I kind of want to know who's making an internet fan video for Squidbillies. There's something
No
out
offense
there
if
for
you actually
everybody.
like Squid Bellies. I've just never watched that show enough, and that one was just the one of just like, that just looks so dumb to me. I don't understand it. I'm never gonna watch
One thing
it.
I've heard
Sorry.
from people that have watched it, they're like, the audio of it is great. I wish the visuals were different. If
Do you remember
listen
that
to
show
it, it's
Home
pretty
Movies?
fun. Home Movies. I think Home Movies is solid all around.
That's a great one.
Because I have not
That's a
seen
great
Home
one.
Movies in too long.
But that's also one of those shows that I would consider like, this is just dumb and crass for just dumb's sake. Like, it's so dumb. And I saw a weirdly specific meme. It was a Gundam meme using the characters of Home Movies. And I was just like,
God.
yes, I love this. I am into all of it.
That's good, because I feel like if you've seen one episode of Home Movies, I think you get those characters. They're pretty simple.
I remember discovering that show and just being like, what am I watching? This is... People get paid to make this?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, is this from the guys who did Science Court? This looks and sounds like Science Court.
Yeah.
Kyle, speaking of Adult Swim memories, there's a show I caught once on Adult Swim because I believe it aired once. I think this was a pilot of a show that never got picked up, and they aired the pilot anyway. It was called the Eltingville Club.
The Elting.
This is another thing where it's like,
right
I've never run into a person in the wild who knows what I'm talking about.
I see comic books.
I think it is based on a comic book or a web comic.
Adult.
And so it was like this half-hour animated pilot. It aired once. I think I had it on an old VHS tape. Like, I think I caught it. Or maybe they aired it once and, like, repeat aired it another night, and I recorded it the second time. But it's just a bunch of basement nerds in New Jersey. Like, it's just nerdy guys who live in a basement, you know, and like there's different I think they've got different flavors of them. Like, one of them's really deep into model kits. I think one of them's like
That's
a comic book guy. One of them's like the guy who's always quoting something. Nothing he says is not a quote. And there's this limited...
So the show was called Welcome to Eltingville, and it's an animated comedy pilot created by Evan Dorkin based on his comic book series Eltingville. It was premiered in the United States on March 3rd, 2002 on Cartoon Network's late-night programming block Adult Swim, but it was not picked up for a full series. The pilot episode, Bring Me the Head of Boba Fett, adapts the Eisner Award-winning story of the same name. Which,
Eisner Award-winning?
Yeah, which is the prestigious comic book award. Let's see, it ran in the third issue of Instant Piano, which is a comic
just add
that
water.
Was a humorous comics anthology published by Dark Horse. It was written by Dorkin and Chuck Sheets and received a positive reception. It has been made available on DVD and Adult Swim's website.
Oh, I could still find it there. I think I looked this up on YouTube some years ago. Because the plot of the thing was there is a Boba Fett action figure, like a limited edition one that these guys find at their comic book store. And both guys really want it. And the store owner makes them compete in a trivia championship to get the Boba, figure out who's going to take home the Boba
No
Fett
wonder
action
you liked
figure.
this show.
Right. And I went back and I watched it. And I'm like, I kind of get why this wasn't picked up from a series. Like, none of these guys, they hang out together, but they don't seem like friends. Like, there wasn't really any warmth to the series. There wasn't a lot of... right? Like, the characters didn't seem to like each other very much. I think the only woman on the show was, like, one of the guys had a bratty kid sister. Because they're all, like, high school, college age guys. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, bratty kid sister you have to avoid, and mom who only exists to like tell you to move out of the basement. Like not real well-rounded characters. But this
That's
stuck
funny.
out to me just for the sheer depth of pop culture knowledge that was in the thing. Like, this show gave me just a lot of fragments, just a lot of mentions of things that I figured out later in life, like, oh, that's what that thing was.
That's funny.
So it stuck with me for that. And I think it was effective it's atmospheric. So these two guys are in this trivia championship, and then eventually, like, it comes to a draw or something. I don't remember, but in the end, the comic book store owner's like, look, really, it's whichever one of you gets me the money first. And then it's both these guys, like, running back to their houses. They're, like, stealing money from their parents and things like that. They're, like, running back to the store, and they're, like, knocking kids off their bikes. Like, it's this race to get back to the store, and the whole time there's this thunderstorm brewing. Like, there's this energy around the whole show of just, like, something is about to go down, which I was really impressed with how much that was built and executed within, like, 22 minutes of something you've never seen before. How much it did that tension.
We might have to do a Patreon exclusive review show thing on it. That would be fun.
I've thought about doing review shows
watch
on
some like weird pilots that never made it to series.
Like pilots
That'd
and
be
really
fun.
short series and just like one-off ephemera videos and like short films and things like that. I don't know if it's worth talking about. I think it was just something that I saw at that, you know, when you're like 12 or 13 and your whole body's just made out of tape and things just stick to you and they're stuck on you for like 20 years.
That's funny. Yeah. The stuff from like early Adult Swim that sticks in my mind was their commercials. Their like bumpers where it was like the old people in the pool and stuff like that. And they're like, kids, get out of the pool. Adult Swim.
Yes.
I remember that stuff. And then home movies. Good times.
Yeah.
And Yu Yu Hakusho. That was a great one.
Oh, yeah. All the anime stuff.
Yeah. That's fun. Speaking of more movies and TV shows, I thought this was an interesting article, but according to the Guardian, the U.S. box office drops 97% year on year after Wednesday to reach historic low.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Of
given
course.
the situation. But I find that wild. 97%. That's a huge number. And we've seen things like Bloodshot, which basically came out in theaters basically when they were just like, oh, okay, everyone stay home now. And then they were like, okay, I guess it's going to be released on VOD in 11 days. That's wild. That, like, it spent a weekend in theaters, and they're just like, okay, 11 days, you can buy it digitally. You can now get Onward digitally from Pixar, and it's going to be on Disney Plus April 3rd in, like, 2 weeks. That's wild. This is kind of one of the things I was thinking about when I mentioned earlier in this show that, like, the world is changing, and we don't exactly know what's gonna happen on the opposite end, because theaters are taking a huge hit. What is that gonna look like when we're done with this? Because we don't know exactly how long it's going to be. On certain days it looks like, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be like 2 more weeks, and then there's certain days where it looks like this seems like it's gonna go on for like months.
Yeah.
And that I just don't know. Like one of the things that I thought, I don't know if I mentioned it in our Discord or another one that I'm in, but I was like, once we first started to get the like movies are being postponed, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna start just releasing them straight to streaming services. And we're starting to get that. And now Wonder Woman, they're having conversations on, hey, should we just release this on streaming services instead? And so I'm wondering what that's going to do to the movie industry, like how that will change things. I know like comic book stores and stuff are also taking big hits, and they are trying to adapt. And honestly, this is something they've needed to do for a long time. The direct market has been terrible. But that's one of the things, is a lot of these local comic book stores don't have any kind of online option. To be like, hey, I want to support a local store, but I want to buy them online, right? They don't have that. And so I've seen a lot of comic publishers and creators like trying to band together to be like, hey, let's figure this out now and make it happen. What do you think is going to happen with this stuff? Because I mean, we can sit here and speculate, but is there something you would like to see happen or see change, or would you like to see things return to the way they were?
Oh, I love going to the movies. Like, I go to the movie theater a lot because I like it there. If I was given the option of, you can go see this movie for $10 in the, let's say that they're usually not $10 unless you hit like a weekend matinee. Let's say it's like $15. For $15, you can go see the movie in the theater now, or you can wait 3 weeks and see it at home for $8. I'd probably still pick going to the movie theater because it's just an experience that I like, and that's always something, not always, but frequently something that I'm willing to put my money in. I like it enough that I will pay the extra dollars for it. I like to go out there and have the extra, with the theater, it's screen big, sound big. It's more advanced than my setup here.
Yeah.
Like, I just get to see a big dazzling thing in a big dazzling scenario and go out and have like a nice night out. And I'm very anxious to get back to that thing. I am worried, like, will we hit a point where we all agree, like, it is safe to open things again, but then will people still feel too skittish? I'm very curious what this is going to do about our perception of crowds. If, like, society's just going to decide groups in general are bad. It wasn't this one time. What if this happens again? Like, we're not doing groups anymore. And so what if theaters are open, canceled, but they're just like, oh, well, what if they're open, but it's still like, oh, it's like Saturday night, opening weekend, and there's 20 people in here.
Yeah, because, like, does this putting them on streaming services a lot sooner, does that set some kind of new precedent to be, I mean, will that show companies that they kind of make the same amount of money if they can work out these streaming deals? Or put it on their own service and use that as a thing to up subscriptions, and just like, hey, we have Wonder Woman on our subscription. Subscribe to us, and they get this influx of subscriptions. Who knows? But yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. Will the experience still exist, but in some kind of new form? Like, will only the premium like movie theaters exist, like the Alamo Draft houses where you can like eat and do all of that stuff, just because it's not really as profitable to do only movies? Or is it the opposite way, where we won't see that premium experience and would just see these like run down theaters sharing stuff. Will prices lower on that stuff? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Are you somebody who frequently buys movies when they hit streaming? Because I had to tell you, that's not something I actively do either. Because for me, it's like, I'll go see it in the theater, and then I will wait until it is streaming for free somewhere. Like, I'm good with there being like a 14-month period where I have seen the movie and then I won't see the movie again.
Yeah.
And if I want to buy something, I typically want to buy like a physical copy of it, because if I love it enough to buy it, it might be an object I want to display lovingly in my home. Like, I buy movies pretty deliberately, and I want to fill holes in my collection. For some reason, the only Marvel movies I own are the first Guardians and the second Avengers. And I'm looking at my shelves and like, I don't know what happened here. Why don't I own more of these? Why is it just these two? It's like, if I really want something, I'll go buy the box set of it. Like, I'll buy a nice physical version of it, or I'll wait for it to be for it to be free on streaming. I typically don't buy something unless it's, I really want to watch this and I can't find it right now. Like, like I paid $4 or whatever to rent The Last Jedi on Amazon Prime when I wanted to rewatch the movies before seeing Rise of Skywalker, because it wasn't streaming for free anywhere. Like, it didn't hit Disney Plus yet. And I knew everybody else was doing this at that time. Everybody else was probably saying, let me rewatch The Last Jedi. So I'm like, I'm not going to find it like at a rental store or a library or anything like that. I don't think I love this enough to buy it. I will pay the $4 and rent it now. Mm-hmm. But I only do that a couple times a year. If it wasn't for this podcast, I'd do it, much less than that even.
I don't know. Crazy times right now. I would love to see movie theaters stick around. I don't think they're, I don't think it's doom and gloom that they're like, all movie theaters are gone. I don't think it's going to be that. But I think it's going to be very different, or we just won't see as many of them. I don't know.
I think we need them. I think they're still like a valuable experience. And you think about things like the that shooting in the theater in Aurora, Colorado, when was it The Dark Knight was out? Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises? One of those two. That was a major blow, but it didn't stop traffic to movie theaters in the long term.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to downplay that, but that's like, I just don't think that's comparable in the same way.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm fascinated to see the outcome, because this is also kind of what we talk about here on these shows. Like, what movies are you into? What TV shows are you watching? And those experiences and stuff like that. So,
like, even last week, I was talking about, like, what are the ripple effects, the socio-cultural ripple effects we're going to see from this? How is America's pastimes and hobbies and interests going to shift? And I'm like, isn't this an interesting little experiment? And this week I just feel hollow. It's less fun now. Yeah.
We'll see. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up there for this one. This was a little bit light on content because again, we were locked in our home, so we're gonna have to figure that out and get used to that, and podcasting about some other topics besides what did you do this week.
Nothing.
So we will figure that stuff out. We will be back next week for episode 89 of the Captain's Log. Melissa, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WilkywIT.
And you can find me at YoKyleSpringer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys would like to stay up to date with this podcast, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. But we do have multiple podcasts. You guys can find more info on that on our website, which is thewhatnauts.com. If you guys like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. You guys can get episodes early. You guys can get access to the live streams of the review show. But again, if everyone is home the next couple of weeks, we might not be live streaming them. We'll let you know. We'll be on Twitter at the Whatnauts for updates on all of that stuff. But yeah, we have a bunch of exclusive content on the $3 tier. So if you guys want some extra podcast from us, we have some content for you guys to check out and laugh at and join along, all of that. And as normal, we would like to give a big shout out to our patrons at the $5 tier. So thank you, Christine, and thank you, Sam, for helping us out and keeping the mics on. Exactly. That being said, I think we are about to get out of here. We will see you guys next week for episode 89 of The Captain's Log. Until then, bye.
Bye.